We've already known for many years that ExxonMobil knew that burning the fuel that they produce and make tons of money off of is going to have a very predictable effect on the environment and lead to overall heating of the environment, the climate change that we're currently dealing with. I'm not here to talk about that today. What I'm here to talk about is new research showing that not only did they know that there was going to be an effect, but they were shockingly accurate at the rate and amount of the effect. Way back in the 70s, we're talking about a half a century ago, they kind of nailed it on how bad things would get if we continued business as usual, literally business as usual. And so despite that, they still claim that they haven't done literally anything wrong. We're gonna run through these facts and I'm gonna let you decide for yourself. First, here are the details of the study that we're gonna be discussing. Jeffrey Suprin is a historian of science at Harvard University. And what he did was he looked at internal company documents that had been discovered at Exxon back in 2015. And whereas past reports that we have covered on this channel, feel free to look for those on YouTube, focused on textual evidence of the company's knowledge, Suprin and his two co-authors, a climate scientist at Potsdam University and a Harvard science historian, present the first quantitative review of their actual early numerical and graphical data on climate scientists. So not just quotes about what they know or an acknowledgement that they were running a study, diving into the actual studies. What did they find when they put real scientists on it? And so it started with a tweet from Rahmstorf, who back in 2019 took an ExxonMobil 1982 climate projection graph and then mapped it over the actual data that we've seen, and they are highly similar. So once they saw that, they thought, oh, there is actually something to this. Way back in the early 80s, this is like pre-Stranger Things era, they knew kind of what they were looking at. Let's dive in and see how accurate they were. And here's what they found. Our results show that in private and academic circles since the late 1970s and early 1980s, ExxonMobil predicted global warming correctly and skillfully. Using established statistical techniques, we find that 63 to 83% of the climate projections reported by ExxonMobil scientists were accurate in predicting subsequent global warming. Their average projected warming was 0.2 degrees plus or minus 0.04 degrees Celsius per decade, which is, with an uncertainty, the same as that of independent academic and government projections published between 1970 and 2007. And the documents that they looked into from ExxonMobil were labeled the CO2 greenhouse effect. So we have more to talk about, but, and this is where I guess you kind of have to laugh to not cry. The idea that in 2023, we still live in a country where a significant portion of regular people and virtually every single elected Republican and right-wing pundit in the country insists that it is not happening, that if it is happening, it has nothing to do with human activity. When ExxonMobil not only said it was gonna happen decades ago, but mapped out exactly how it was gonna happen and at what rate, and were proven to be right up until the present day. That is a weird situation to be in. Maz, what do you make of this?
Well, you know, it's the woke left trying to convince you that there's global warming. Meanwhile, the world is falling apart. Come on. It's, first of all, it's so obvious. The oil industry is like the tobacco industry. They've known for the longest time, like the gun industry. They know that they cause damage. They know that they are not good for the environment. They're not good for the world, and yet they keep sending out their executives to say, no, we're not causing any problems. Remember was it Lex Tillerson? What was his name?
Rex Tillerson.
Yeah, Rex Tillerson.
Rex Tillerson.
Like Lex Willard, whatever, yeah.
Rex Tillerson. Remember that guy when he first became the first Secretary of State under Trump, and we were like, oh no, he's putting an Exxon executive as a Secretary of State. And then he ended up being like the best guy they had as they got worse and worse as the time went on. But seriously, it's ridiculous in this day and age that they continue to deny it. But unfortunately, I think it's one of the issues with social media. It's one of the issues with the world that we have. We have a lot more access to knowledge, but unfortunately, there's a lot more access to misinformation and disinformation. And there's a lot of people who are going, oh, look at the agenda. They just want you to buy electric cars because they want their stocks to go up. And what about the electricity? And it's like, yo, oil is bad. It doesn't take a genius scientist to tell you oil. Just go near a gas station and just take a deep breath. It's not good for you. So that's all you need to know. And yeah, this is kind of like the no duh kind of news, you know?
I think that's a really interesting point, Muzz, and like the comparison with the tobacco industry is a really apt one. And you could think about like the automotive industry more generally before we had seatbelts, right? And what did it take? It took actual people who, didn't have a choice as whether they were inhaling those fumes, were subjected to secondhand smoke, died in car accidents, and in this case, if they live in toxic waste zones, if they are, they're victims of effectively climate racism, environmental racism, and it's sad because obviously rivers and streams and forests, they don't have legal representation. I believe it was Bolivia that said maybe they are people. They granted finally personhood to like forests and lakes and things because they need protecting and they need some legal counsel. And but it might take that for us to actually rein this thing in, is like class action lawsuits, one after another. The entire planet against the powerful. I don't know. So I guess the second thing I'm just gonna say is, look, there are good scientists who work at oil companies. It's a shame that they went to go work for a friggin' oil company instead of, I don't know, some kind of nonprofit or working for the US government that was actually trying to do something. But these folks knew what they were doing and they kept on doing it because they could and because there was money in it. And that's what they're here for. Somehow they got a plan to take all their money with them, bury themselves in hundreds in their little like beautiful coffins. I don't like,
That'll be a comfort
that's
when it comes.
Yes, that'll be their comfort.
Exactly. I want to add on to what you said, but first, to be fair, we have to give Exxon a chance to respond. So after this newest report was released, Todd Spittler, senior advisor of corporate media relations at ExxonMobil Corporation. I'm just gonna say, it is impossible to be a good person and be the senior advisor of corporate media relations at ExxonMobil. That's a rough one. Anyway, here's what he had to say. And before I read this, and I want to get this out while you're still conscious because your eyes are gonna glaze over one or two sentences into this. Bear in mind, the paragraph I'm about to read for you is supposed to reassure you that they didn't know anything that should have led them to do anything different. And regardless of that, bear in mind, they're still doing the same thing now, even though we know everything that we know in the modern day. So here is what Todd Spittler had to say. This issue has come up several times in recent years, and in each case, our answer is the same. Those who talk about how Exxon knew are wrong in their conclusions. In 2019, see, this sounds like he's citing a fact that's gonna be persuasive. In 2019, Judge Barry Ostriger of the New York State Supreme Court listened to all the facts in a related case before him and wrote, quote, what the evidence at trial revealed is that ExxonMobil executives and employees were uniformly committed to rigorously discharging their duties in the most comprehensive and meticulous manner possible. None of that has anything to do with acknowledging that they knew their product, upon being used in the only way that it can be used, the way that they tell us to use it, would wreck our environment. They did not promptly shut down their business, did they? The fact that they followed what they were supposed to do as executives at a company, which is maximize profits, damn the cost to the environment or people. Yeah, no, I get that they were meticulous in that. I get that they were meticulous in hiding all of this data that they had for literally decades. I totally get that. That doesn't make me feel any better about the fact that you let a half century go by before we were able to find out how accurately you knew the pace of climate change and how it would go. And that's the last point that I want to make about this is, I've been doing this for, in like a week, it's gonna be 11 years, and we've had to cover a lot of news, and we've had to be exposed to a lot of really terrible people doing terrible things. And yet, as cynical as I can be about a lot of things, I think that I'm still very much naive, because I cannot conceive of like finding out indisputably that your product is going to wreck the planet you live on and then be like, yeah, but I'll have a pool. I do not understand that. Like, you presumably want to continue to live on this planet. You have a good chance of having children or grandchildren. To damn them to a foreseeable, avoidable apocalypse so that you can have like a study or like multiple Benzes, to take it back to the earlier topic. It's madness. And again, I don't know why I'm being so naive. I mean, we are still living through a period of many right-wing pundits and politicians knowingly lying about COVID and about the vaccine, even though they can see literally the number of people dying as a result of those lies on a daily basis, and they still did it for clout and for money. So maybe I shouldn't be as naive as I am.
Greed is a major motivator. Greed is a major motivator. And going back to what I was saying about the cigarette industry, et cetera, this gentleman, the guy who gave that statement that the hullabaloo, it's ridiculous. As a kid, I used to drink Coca-Cola and have junk food. And one day I looked at it and the feelings I would get afterwards, I was like, this can't be good for me. Similarly, when you see a car and you see the exhaust coming out of the pipe and you see all the stuff going in the sky, it doesn't take a genius to be like, that's not good for the environment. I mean, I don't need to do a study to tell you that the oil industry is bad for the environment. And yet this guy's going, hullabaloo, 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 due diligence. I'm like, what? It's bad. Just say it's bad and just go, we're greedy. We're making good money. It takes too much time and effort to try and change things. So we're sticking with it for now until we can figure out, like the cigarette industry did, how to get our version of the vape pen to oil. That'll be our next thing. So just hang tight. We got more bad stuff coming, but wait till we're ready. I mean, just say at least I would respect the guy for being honest.
Yeah, it's really disgusting with the energy industry that we're relying on the idea that these corporations are going to just naturally shift because there's going to be more opportunity in wind and solar, and so that's what the Biden administration has been, sort of hedging on and betting on, and that is not a safe bet. You cannot be like, oh, there's more money over here, there's more places to pillage over here. No, you have to bring the corporations to heel. You have to regulate them. The only way we're actually going to stop global warming and climate change and climate chaos is when the power of the government, sorry, Republicans, power of the government is going to have to be used. It's the only way. You can't just sort of appeal to their better angels and be like, we're gonna give you a discount on making solar. Oh, there's gonna be electric charging stations. We're gonna give you subsidies so you make even more electric cars. We don't have time, people.
Yeah. 100%. And by the way, I always go back and forth on whether it's a good thing to be focused or to acknowledge, a lot of aspects of something. Like when we talk about the environment, one of the big things that we're focusing on, and I think I understand why, is climate change. Like overall average heating and the effect of it, which is very important when you do something about it. But bear in mind that is not the only issue here. Like, you wanna have fun? Here's something fun you can do. I want you to go and Google how many people die of respiratory illnesses every year worldwide due to the pollution caused by the burning of fossil fuels, factories, and those sorts of things. And when I say fun, I mean the exact opposite of fun, like the fundamental diametric opposite of fun. Millions and millions of people die every single year, totally needlessly, because of the pollution we put out there. And I know that we have to focus on climate change because we have to desperately get our politicians to do something about it. But it is not just weird that conservatives don't care to stop the climate change. It is super weird that they have been trained over the last few decades to not care at all about the world being polluted, the air and the water and the ground, to just constantly be bombarded by toxins. It's super weird that doesn't bother them. They say save the children, but only from drag queens, not from the chemicals that are wrecking their bodies and killing them prematurely.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.